Welcome back to Friday Bite Fights. So great to have you back with us. Before we go any further with the latest in the adventures of Edie and her family and their battle with her eating disorder, today we do a deeper dive into some of the strategies we touched on in our last episode. Let's check in with one of our friendly therapists at the Duke Center for Eating Disorders to help us better understand the strategies that were introduced in our last video, namely sharing and social support.
Previously, we've highlighted some key strategies that can be helpful when the volume of the eating disorder is turned up. First, we identified sharing and social support, opening up and talking to others about what is bothering you, rather than keeping it all inside and using hunger and the eating disorder as a distraction. Sharing and social support are some of the most powerful plays in the playbook. Today, we're going to learn a bit more about this strategy and the factors that can get in the way. To see why this strategy is so important, let's take a trip into the past and look at one of the classic studies in psychology about the value of expressing emotions that one has been keeping under wraps, or the fancy name, catharsis.
Good afternoon. I would like to spend a few moments introducing you to the principles of catharsis. We feel emotions in our bodies. When we are upset or sad, for example, we might feel heavy and weighted down. We have trouble even moving, and all we want to do is stay in bed. These emotions carry messages of what we need. The changes in our body help guide our behavior to get those needs met. If we tune into our emotions and act on those needs, our emotions have done their job, and the sensations in our body will settle back to baseline. This principle is the basis of catharsis.
You seem like you're carrying a heavy load. Do you need someone to listen or someone to help you figure out what to do?
Having someone just to listen would be wonderful.
I have a limitless amount of time. Begin wherever you feel comfortable and discuss whatever you would like.
But what happens if emotions are not allowed to be expressed, or if someone is afraid to talk about things that have happened that are upsetting? Early theorists thought that energy from the emotional experience had to go somewhere. If not expressed, it would take its toll on the body, resulting in unexplained physical symptoms or emotional pain. In fact, prior observational studies described some interesting connections. They found that if an individual had experienced a trauma earlier in her life but had not disclosed it, she was more likely to experience health problems than individuals who had shared that experience with someone. Why are we talking about this in a video to help those with eating disorders and their families? Well, research has shown the following features in individuals with eating disorders. Let's take a look.
So then, my mom and I got into this big fight. We were both shouting at each other. I ran upstairs and slammed the door, and she left the house and drove off. We didn't speak to each other the whole night, even after she came back.
That sounds really rough.
Yeah, it's been tough. Has it ever happened to you and your mother?
Oh my, look at the time. I have to go.
Individuals with eating disorders have been found to be less likely to engage in intimate self-disclosure than individuals without eating disorders. In other words, they are less willing to share personal experiences, particularly if these experiences are about a vulnerability or a negative event. If they do share, they may do so in a very factual but not emotional manner. We are not sure why individuals with eating disorders may be less likely to share things that are personal and emotional. To shed some light on this issue, let's turn to our reporter on the street, Mayville, to hear what some individuals with eating disorders have to say about it.
Excuse me, ma'am. Mabel Marks here from DCED News. I see that you have an eating disorder. I'm wondering if you would be willing to answer a few questions.
Why, yes, if this is quick. I don't want to be late for my meeting.
Absolutely. So, I have read that individuals with eating disorders are not as likely to disclose personal things as individuals without eating disorders, especially when those things cause strong emotions. Do you think this is true? And if so, why do you think that is?
Well, I don't really like talking about myself.
But I'm really interested in hearing about your personal experience.
Okay, fine. Well, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but it certainly is true for me. I don't like to share what's going on with me because I don't want to be a burden for someone.
Interesting. So, you think if someone else heard about your problems that they would experience that as a burden? Do you feel that way when someone shares their problems with you?
Why, no, now that you mention it. I actually feel flattered when they trusted me with important information and that they feel safe enough to show me their feelings.
Very interesting. Well, thank you for your time. And how about you, ma'am? Do you think that individuals with eating disorders are less likely to share personal things? And if so, why?
Well, it's certainly true for me. I don't talk about personal stuff, particularly my struggles, because I don't want people to think less of me. I think people have high expectations of me, and I don't want to let them down. They might think I'm weak or can't handle things.
Very interesting indeed. I'll have to investigate that. So you think that if you discuss vulnerable things about yourself or difficult things that have happened to you that upset you, then people will be disappointed in you. Do I have that right?
Why, yes, that's it exactly.
Excuse me, sir. I'm conducting a survey and wonder if you could answer a question.
Sure.
If you know someone and they tell you about a flaw, mistake, or unfortunate event that happened to them, do you think less of them? Like, do you think of them as more weak, fragile, needy, etc.?
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I would like that person more. We all have a lot of complicated and negative stuff. When people own that stuff, they are being real, not fake. When people pretend they don't, I just don't feel close to or trust people like that.
Very interesting. This has been Mabel Marks, reporting live on the scene for DCED News. Now, back to you, Professor.
Thanks, Mabel. Some very complicated beliefs out there about self-disclosure. Okay, let's get back to that study I mentioned. Now, I should throw out there that the findings about the effects of expressive writing have been mixed, and the study I'm going to describe had a small sample size. However, it is such a cool study that we are going to talk about the ideas behind it, even if we will be cautious about the results. I should also note that the study has had a huge impact in the field of psychology.
Enough already! Get on with the study!
Okay, so this is what happened. The authors James Pennebaker and Sandra Beal wanted to test their theory that if you inhibit or suppress negative emotions and experiences, then that suppression causes stress on your body and mind and takes a toll. So what they did was to recruit 46 students in college and assign them to one of 4 groups. One group was a control group. They were asked to write about an assigned trivial topic for 4 nights.
My living room couch is made of purple velveteen fabric and has worn out corner cushions.
In the second condition, individuals were asked to think about a traumatic experience they had had, but to only write about their feelings about the event, not about the event itself.
I was feeling very hurt and really sad.
In the third condition, individuals were asked to write about the facts of the trauma, not about their feelings. They were just supposed to describe the objective facts.
Then I got into this very big fight with my best friend at the time. She said,
in the final condition, the subject was asked to write about both an upsetting event and how they felt about it.
And then I got into this very big fight with my best friend at the time. She told me about this gathering that she hosted, that she didn't invite me to, that she only talked about because I confronted her. I felt so hurt and betrayed.
The subjects in the trauma conditions could write about the same event for all 4 days. Every day they met with the experimenter who reminded them of their instructions and asked them that they leave their essays in a box outside their cubicle. Before and after each essay, the subject answered questions about how much they were experiencing physical symptoms, such as a racing heart or headache. Their blood pressure was also taken before and after. After writing the essay, they also indicated how personal it was and to what degree they had revealed their emotions. The results revealed that in the trauma combination condition, the subject's blood pressure initially went up the first time they wrote about this intense experience, and then their blood pressure went down after writing about it. The other condition's blood pressure was lower after writing. In terms of reported physical symptoms and mood, subjects felt more negative after writing the essays. However, the long-term effects were beneficial. Students in the combination condition reported less visits to the counseling center for health-related or emotional issues and fewer days in which their activities have been restricted due to illness. What this study showed is the power of really processing things that have happened to you rather than letting them take a toll on your mental and physical health. Emotions can weigh us down when not expressed. Individuals with eating disorders tend not to share their feelings. It is interesting to think of whether these, quote, feelings of fatness are actually the weight of the heavy burdens that they carry rather than having anything to do with actual weight. This is something very powerful to think about. So, what should individuals with eating disorders, or anybody for that matter, do? Well, if you're not used to sharing personal things with other people, a first step might be to journal. As we learned from this study, the important things about journaling are to write about what is important to you, and it is particularly important to write about things that are upsetting, and to describe both what happened and how you felt about it. Once that becomes comfortable, perhaps the next step would be sharing what you wrote with someone that you care about. The key thing here is that making a specific request of that other person will really help them to respond in a way that is helpful to you and really helpful to them. For example, you might want them to read your journal entries so that they understand a bit more about what you're going through, and that is all, and that you would like a hug after they read it. To help you get your needs met, it is often really helpful to make a specific request before sharing. This helps you to get your needs met and helps the other person so that they know exactly what you need and what to do. Here are some examples of what this could look like.
I'm about to tell you something that happened to me, so you understand what I've been going through. It's important to me that you just listen and not try to do anything about it. After I tell you, I could use a hug.
It will be hard for me not to do anything, but I won't, and I'm really good at hugs.
I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me, because I'm not really sure what to do about it. I'm hoping you can help me think of some ideas.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. It's always easier to brainstorm with a friend.
I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me that was really upsetting. When I'm done telling you, I want you to tell me that it's going to be okay, but I don't want you to do anything other than that.
I would love to do that. Thank you for sharing this with me.
I'm going to tell you something that happened to me that was really upsetting. When I'm done telling you, I just don't want to be alone, so I would love it if you would just sit with me. I don't need you to fix anything.
I would hate for you to be alone with this, and I'm so happy to be here with you.
We have covered a lot of complicated stuff in this session together. We've talked about the importance of thinking through and sharing upsetting and important things that have happened to us. We've learned that doing so takes a load off of our minds and bodies. Doing so can also help us to not feel alone with our troubles, or can just help us to feel more understood by the people who are important to us. For parents, we can't emphasize enough how important it is to just feel known, and that there are times when listening is the important thing, and that doing something to try to fix the situation can actually get in the way, even though this can be very hard for parents to do. If you are confused what the best move is, you can always ask a very simple but important question.
Do you need me to just listen, or would you like me to help you figure out what to do?
We hope that this has been some helpful information. We look forward to joining you next time. Until then, may you have wonderful conversations with people that you care about. Signing off from the folks in the Duke Center for Eating Disorders.